In this video, I'm going to break down how you can get this look all inside of vanilla After Effects. So picture this, you get a new project brief, you scroll down to the bottom where the references are, and it takes you to some of the most amazing 3D animation you've ever seen. You know, it's got depth of field, it's got cool camera moves, it's got amazing textures and lighting and all that jazz. And you're going, Adam, how the hell can I achieve this? All I've got is After Effects. So open up After Effects, fire up a new composition, and let's go. So I have my little website here with a pre-made 3D animation already on it. But you can use anything, a web page, newspaper, even 3D models nowadays. I'm actually pretty keen for this. Firstly, I'm going to set the layer to collapse transformations, allowing the 3D-ness of the pre-comp to come through, and then actually make it 3D. Now we can navigate this space pretty much like we're in Blender or Houdini or Cinema 4D or whatever 3D package, you know, you're privy to. Except, look, I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit more of a pain in the ass. Next, we create a 3D camera. Go Layer, New, Camera. Default settings are perfect. I feel like I never get to say that, especially in After Effects. And it's going to create a camera with the exact same view you're just using inside of After Effects, because even though there's not a camera there, there's still a camera there. Now this is where things get a little interesting. We're going to create some nulls. I know, nulls. Exciting, right? Go Layer, New, Null Object. I'm going to make this null object 3D, and then I'm going to parent the camera to the first null, holding Shift to snap that camera to the null. And it snaps its transform values, essentially zeroing out its rotation, scale, and position. And that's pretty much just going to put the camera exactly where our null is. The shift click just saves me hours nowadays. Now, if I use the Z depth here, it'll essentially pull out the camera and it'll feel like we're zooming out of the website. I'm going to split my viewport into two, exactly like you would in any other 3D application, to really illustrate the relationship between the null and the camera. I'm going to create a second null and make it 3D too. And then we're going to parent the first null to the second null. Essentially, we just made a two-node camera system or rig. The benefits of a two-nodal system is that you can rotate the nulls and move their position, and the camera always stays fixed on that center point, exactly what we wanted pointing at. And that null is where all our stuff is, what we want it to be looking at. So it's always going to be focused. But the real magic happens with two or more nulls, essentially allowing us to unlock the rotations from each other. The best way I think to think about this is, imagine you want to take a selfie and you have a camera on the end of a stick, and the length of that selfie stick is the Z position. Then you can, move that up from your shoulder. So you are the first null. You're a null. You are a null. There's two nulls and you're one of them. So then you jump on your mate's shoulders, right? And now your mate is null number two. And then your mate's able to spin you around like I am on this chair. This chair is probably a better analogy than sitting on your friend's shoulders. But that camera's always focused on me because, it's my selfie camera, so it's going to be focused on me. So when you think about it, your friend can rotate and it rotates me and the camera. I can rotate, doesn't affect my friend, but affects the camera. And the camera rotates and doesn't affect anyone else. And that's essentially a two-nodal camera rig. But the order of operations is important here. Any upward rotation, which would be the Z rotation, needs to come first, followed by any Y rotation. Now that's out of the way, we can have fun animating the damn thing. I adjusted these rotations to find the angle and position that I wanted, and really wanted to show off that explosive panel animation at the start. Well, mainly because I think it's kind of cool. And I really wanted to make it when it popped up that the camera is at its resting point, if you will. I went back a few frames and put the camera where I wanted to come from then, which is essentially saying I want the camera to spin in from this angle, rest here, watch that thing pop up in slow-mo. That's kind of what I want it to feel like, and then shoot out in another angle. Mainly here I'm looking for how it feels in the shot rather than any specific number of where to come in or to go out from. But I want to make that section linear in the middle to continue the movement. So it kind of feels like slow motion, like I mentioned before. This process is pretty fun, and it's really up to personal preference how you want to use it, but just go ahead and have fun with it, really. As you can see, I spin the camera in and roll it out with some subtle camera push in just to give it a little bit more juice, a little bit more chef's kiss. But let's take this up to 11 with 3 words: depth of field. This is where things get lush and really start to sink into this 3D vibe. You press UU on the camera to open up all its properties, and then we're going to turn depth of field on. Everything might go a little bit funny because the focus point isn't accurate right now. Rather than adjusting where the focus point is, which you can do, mind you, I'm going to give you a little trick here, just a little hack to make this a bit easier. And it's going to be using expressions. I know expressions. They're not that bad. They're fun. Man, I love them. And this one's actually pretty easy. Ready? All I'm going to do is link the focus distance of the camera to the Z position of the camera from the null. And it kind of probably feels like you've woken up from a fever dream or something. And that's just because it's referencing a negative number, and it should be referencing a positive number. Amazing thing with expressions is you can do math inside of the code rather than you have to do math. So I'm just going to put a negative right in front of that expression. And that's going to give me the exact number I need. See, that wasn't so scary, was it? Yeah, a little bit of adjusting the aperture to taste here, and we're done. Beautiful 3D camera move with depth of field, all in After Effects. If that's not hitting the references that we mentioned before, I don't know what is, except for using real 3D. Pretty much now, go have fun with this technique, and if you come up with some cool versions yourself, feel free to share them. I'd love to see them. Right, that's it. I'm off. See you guys later.